All right, here we are live for another Techthusiasm Wednesday night, becoming the recurring theme, the Wednesday night live streams. We've had a few so far talking about Apple TVs. Last week we talked with Dan DiCarlo at Audio Vision. I hope folks were maybe able to reach out to Dan for any needs in the week since. Definitely have Dan back. I already conceived, I think, of what will be a neat idea for another topic, perhaps in December, later on in December. But tonight we're talking custom home theater builds with Kevin. So just FYI, I've got a little bit of a lag between the chat on YouTube and here, and it might take a little bit for folks to find their way in. So we'll kind of just ride it out a little bit at first here. I'm hoping tonight wasn't actually a bad call for a live stream, given the night before Thanksgiving. But hey, we're all tech geeks at home, right? We're not out at the bar on Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. So welcome to folks coming in. Post a hello. Feel free to hit the like button, and we'll get rolling here in a few minutes, talking about Kevin's theater and all the sweet stuff that he's got going in that space.
Yeah, Dan was pretty awesome last week. That was cool to watch him and meet someone pretty local.
So. Yep. Yeah, he's a good guy. We've been we became fast friends when he came and did the technical work on our house. And so we always chat about comics and Star Wars and all that stuff. It's nice being friends with your Control 4 dealer, especially when you tinker a lot.
Yeah, they're few and far between. It seems like probably in any area, but you see the Control 4 certified or like the dealers that you think they'll be pretty good, but then there's still some. Yeah, I've tried a couple of them in the area. I think I'll have to give Dan a try.
Yep, highly recommended. So we're picking up a few folks. Welcome if you're coming in. Tonight we're talking about Kevin's room, his custom theater. There was a video that went up on the channel. It was a week ago Monday, I think, from the big Michigan home theater meet weekend, where we saw Kevin's room on Friday night. We saw Lars's Spartan Theater on Saturday, and then the big gun, Arts Christie, at his massive party on the Saturday night. So looking forward to doing more theater tours in the area, loosely chatting in the background with a few folks, but maybe get one in before the holidays, but more than likely, given the way everybody's busy, we'll hopefully spool up some more tours, and we'll get some more meetup activities going into the new year. There is one more Michigan event on the calendar coming up a week from Saturday, speaker shootout at Brian's house, Hi-Fi Home Theater, Hi-Fi Home Theater Hi-Fi YouTube channel. All right. Hey, Derek. Yep, sound off as you're coming in, folks, and hit the like button, and we'll get going here in just a second. All right, so why don't we kind of start with the basics? Kevin, you want to introduce yourself a little bit to the?
Yeah, sure. I'm Kevin. Turns out I'm about 45 minutes away from Jeremy. So just turns out I met Jeremy through YouTube stuff and everything else, and the meetups, and pretty close by. And we're both kind of in this hobby, and he's engineering, I'm IT, so we're both kind of in this. I'm just a local guy that just opened up my house to some other AV guys last few weeks ago. So anything else you want me to introduce with? I don't know.
No, that's good, I think. So your room is recently completed.
Right. Yeah, it feels like it's still just done, but yeah, always something to tinker with. But
for sure.
I think I was calling it done about January this year, because we got our carpet late December, and so still doesn't, still sinking in, but still this year that it was completed.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go over some of the kind of introduce your space here. Let me pull up a screen share. I got a couple of the videos that I shot. Take a look at the rack, take a look at the room, and maybe talk us through these as we go. If I share this, I can pull this up. So kind of pause a little bit as we go, right? So this is your gear rack, right, outside your room by the entrance. Yep. I'm gonna walk us down your rack and some of your things that are in here and some of your decisions behind it.
Right. So I guess the rack, like overall, there's no buttons on that very top one, so obviously you can put it out of reach and things like that. So that's the control 4 brains. It's controlling. That's a HC800, so it has some contacts and relays and all that stuff. So I've got it wired to my garage, and then like it has a sensor and then like a relay to open and close. Fireplace, it can kind of open and close the relay on a fireplace and some cool things like that. But just kind of the brains of all the smarts and the smart kind of stuff in the house. The next two are the 6000 and 3000. We've got full Martys behind the screen and the VBSSs, the Value Buster subs. They're basically two pairs of 18s that both of those power. Just the Furman kind of control. There's a lot of networking in the house that you can see a lot of it's not used because there's a patch panel and 24-port switch. But yeah, I mean, put them into all the rooms, but I didn't even really get to connecting them back all in the basement again. But
you fill them up in time as you need to.
Extended HDMI. So in the future, if we ever put a TV, you can kind of do different things like that, where you use Ethernets for basically glorified extension cables and things like that. 4.4 port NAS, just a lot of files, movies, Blu-ray rips, and things like that on there. My wife plays a Switch every once in a while. Doesn't get a ton of use. Records, I kind of got into records high school, college, and haven't gotten a ton lately, but it's kind of fun to be able to break them out now that I have this room. The 4K player.
Do you play the vinyl to the theater, or do you play it to your living room zone, or both?
Right now to the theater. It'd be kind of crazy to go back and forth with I
was wondering about that.
Putting the needle down and going back up and downstairs. But yeah.
Nice.
It's definitely made for surround sound though, because like 2-channel, I feel like there's too much absorption for 2-channel, but yeah, it's fun. Let's see. So I was like a big Yamaha guy, and I might make the switch like you to Anthem eventually, but Yamaha was the old one that I have, and now I'm using it. Just old plasma in my living room. It's not even a 4K receiver, but gets the job done for a 5.1, and then it used to be 5.1.2 in the living room, but really doesn't get a ton of use. And then this one's the newer Yamaha that's for the theater, and then the power to it are these two Outlaw 5000, 7000s, and the control for a little bit different than Jeremy's. It's a matrix amp, so it's got the amp and matrix switching in one. So I think there's 7 zones throughout the house, like bedroom, bathroom, some patio, garage, just kind of stuff around the house that you can do with awesome. That. So yeah. And then this used to be in my like coat closet in the living room. So had some people like family over last week. They're like, we can use the coat closet again. And so basically this all got extended into the basement and like has a real like place for it now. And before I had the basement, it was shoved in the front of the house. So
how do you think you're going to scale that when the next piece of gear comes in?
It's surprisingly already surprisingly to me already kind of full. Like if I had like how Anthem has like the 3-channel, the 5 and 5, like I think I'd be maxed out. But that's kind of one of the pluses of going with those Outlaws, where it's just kind of two amps, and then I can just go to the Anthem and keep the same amount of use for a 70 or something. So I might be sticking with those for a little bit, or I can get creative with like putting stuff in the back. It's 26 deep. It's the deeper model. So if I want to I can put some of the networking stuff in the back and kind of hide it. And I just kind of, I don't know, just for nerdiness, keep all the patch panels up front, but you could easily kind of like squeeze it in the back.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, not everything needs to be accessible. If you want to dress up the
Yeah.
theater-esque devices in the long run. Although, I mean, theoretically, you got pretty much the whole stack of something, you know, whatever anybody would really want running there. So there's not really a whole lot more that would probably need to.
I don't know, like bass shaker amps. I don't like. There's always more amps you can get. Like those Outlaws have mono blocks, which is just more wires and more U space. I feel like, but either more amps or more like bass shaker amps. But yeah, could probably squeeze them in if I tried.
Yeah, the vinyl's cool. I've thought about tinkering with some vinyl as well, but similar challenge. Like by default, the only place I'd have to put the turntable would be downstairs on the rack, and because it's such a physical thing, coming downstairs to start a record, to go upstairs to listen to it, and deal with that would be kind of a pain. But I don't know. We'll see. My future, I might put some more things into the living room, but we'll cross.
You might be able to try it one or something as a single zone, like Control 4, and then like I don't know. Yeah, you could easily just
there's ways
something in the living room if you want to.
Yeah. So we got some more folks joining. Hey folks, throw some shout outs as you're coming in. Please hit the like button. Hey to Julius. Hey to Travis. Asked about vinyl next to the laser discs and the QNAP. Is that your entire vinyl collection? What's in the rack there?
Yeah, I think so. I used to collect more. I used to basically get them at shows, and I don't go to as many shows as I used to. But I had a laser disc player at one time. In the summer of one of my college internship kind of things, we actually did Cat 6 across like a whole school district and around like where my college was, and I found a laser disc player at the school that they were throwing away. So I got like one laser disc at like a flea market, and I never really used it much, but had a laser disc at one time. It was kind of fun. But
I just missed laser disc in the it was a little too high end for when I first started getting into home theater stuff, but then DVD hit and that was all over. So
I've heard it took off in like different countries too. Like I don't know if it was ever a big thing in the States, or like I don't know if it was like a Philippines thing or something, or somewhere else it might have taken off more than here.
All right, let's take a look at the video of the room. So this is the one coming into the room. Pause a little bit. So tell us a little bit what we're looking at here.
So let's see.
Cut the seating, the custom construction, the panels.
So the seating was Valencia Piacenza. It was like the cinema series. We have the love seat in the front, which is nice for just me and my wife. Get a good video of, but it's blue gray executive, so it's kind of two-toned, and I like it. It looks pretty nice in person here, but it's basically just 2x2s the hard way, basically, to get 01703 behind all those in different ways, and some foil tape and different kind of craft paper and things like that. What else is there? The good thing is how the columns make it so we don't have any holes in the room, like you were talking about, Jeremy. So basically all the surrounds don't cut into the drywall at all. So it's a 4-inch panel, and it's a 4-inch in-wall speaker. So you don't have any holes in your room in that sense. And the ones in the ceiling even do have like the backer box and another backer box. So it's for soundproofing, and then there's the backer box just that Triad builds in. So it's has that in mind completely.
Then you got a bank of Control 4 inputs here, right?
Yeah, I went way overkill on the lights. So there's like screen wash lights, there's soffit lights, overhead, and step lights, which is why there's 4 of those there.
And then the screen.
Yep, it's I really think I made the right choice with the 16:9. I know everyone's starting to go scope, but with the masking panels, you can do either way. And with Top Gun, like Lars was saying, like now it's with all these Atmos enhanced, I think it's a good choice. I think it was 120 wide, 138 diagonal, 16:9.
Yep. It felt really nice sitting in the space when you had your meetup. Definitely a very immersive. And those panels really do some work. I've kind of, I wouldn't say dismissed them, but maybe underestimated just how good it is to have the blackout panels versus the screen. I feel sometimes like with my room, it's dark enough.
Measure when I bought
JVC
them, and like in the picture, it looks like it's not blackout, but you don't see that when you're watching a movie. Like when we had
Yeah,
these up,
right
when
here.
the meetup is, it's yeah, acoustically transparent. I couldn't tell if the bottom speaker was going to be black, so I just bought it in that config. So
Yep, it worked really well.
it's
Control 4
like bass
remote.
trapping in the back. It's all for show. There's no actual like vents in the riser.
So what are you most happy with in the space, do you think?
I was thinking before this, you still there, Jeremy? Your
There
video.
we go. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think the soundproofing was a good idea to go with after taking a couple extra years to build the room. Really making it like a theater is, I mean, the double drywall, the everything, and yeah, you can probably still hear it above, but like when we were doing the meetup with all the guys here, I had a baby sleeping upstairs on the second floor, and like we were maxing it out. We were pretty loud, right? So
yeah, it was rocking.
And I mean, you can still hear it in the kitchen or whatever, but like if you didn't do all this, I'm sure you'd just be shaking the rest of the house. And really, the point of soundproofing is to be able to use your room. So if I'm waking up the baby or the wife, I can't actually enjoy the room. So I think doing it that way, and then also like Jared over here was talking about, he has so many subs. The soundproofing is almost not proofing, but it's still really containing the room. Like when you have subs in your living room, you're always going to rattle a picture or something on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Without any rattles, it's just kind of nice to not feel getting some kind of awkward sounds. So I think that was a good thing. Good choice.
Yeah. I don't know if it's on my side here or hitching a little bit tonight. Yeah, I think the thing with like treating rooms, it's definitely worthwhile. I don't want to downplay it in any way. That was one of the most profound differences that I had in my space, was using it for a while before putting any treatments in, and then using it post treatments was really transformative. But even like in a general residential, not super over the top build, there's so much sound energy that you're not going to achieve 100% encapsulation, or what it would take to achieve 100% encapsulation of sound and noise and bass energy would probably be like unobtainium for cost and effort and all that stuff. But like you said, you can dull it, you can control it, and be able to really let fly with the power and the enjoyment of the room in minimizing the impact on the rest of the household. I'm overdue to really crank my system up, I think, and go around my house again and see what audio energy is getting out, because I've been we've had friends over, some family and stuff, whatever, in the last few months, and running more demo scenes like the Batman chase and Ready Player One and all that stuff, and really letting those fly. My family would make it sound like it's very, very audible. The little bit of testing that I've done, I think they're exaggerating a bit, but I don't know. I need to really crank it up to like, reference volume and take a walk around the house and see just how much they're accurate or overestimating the amount of sound leakage. But
yeah, I'm sure you still get some. I mean, I'm just remembering I had those Martys in my living room at one time. So like obviously if it's in your living room, there's no containment, there's no anything. So if you want to watch a movie, you're dialing it down way back. So just to be able to watch a movie at reasonable volumes without like going out the rest of the house, I mean, you're in good shape probably. But
yeah. So tell us about the subs, because that's interesting, right? You bought the flat packs. You did some construction. Take us through the
VVSSs. It was a couple of years ago. One of the last meetups I went to before probably COVID was at at Jeremy's in Flint there, or around Flint area, and like yeah, it was Mike out of Chicago. I'm trying to remember his AVS name, but yeah, he built them, and he has way more subs now than these were like extras that he didn't need. But the VBSSs were like nicely built by him, and they look perfect, and he's really good at building subs, and I think he'll build subs for people in the Chicago area still. But those ones are really good at like mid bass and things like that, and they still go really well. And then the full Martys I built, and they just have the wood glue slapped on, and not as pretty looking as the other ones, but they hide behind the screen. So I think, yeah, they do really well. So those are the UM18s in there and everything. And now everyone's doing the 21s and everything else. So I think I'm okay though. So I think what I have is going to serve me well for a while.
Yeah. So what's the process of building that though? You're essentially you're gluing and screwing. Are you sanding? And
it's almost, I don't even know if there's any screws involved. It's just a lot of the wood clamps and wood glue. Like I bought easy, like I split it with, I don't even know how I met up with the guy or found the guy. We split I got 2 and he got 2, so it was like one pellet, made it cheaper to split. So just met up at a loading dock and split them up there, and then parted ways. But they have a big PDF that's probably 20 pages, but it's more weighting than anything. You put it together first step, and then let some glue dry, and then kind of do the next step, dry fit it all to make sure. But I mean, I was kind of more intimidated to do like the whole from scratch way, where you actually, like, I think you can go to like even a lumberyard and give them the specs and kind of cheat like that, but it's all CNC. Even if you're not a true, like, I don't know, carpenter, you can fit the pieces together, and it's glorified IKEA. Yeah, it's not hard at all.
So there's bracing pieces, probably you put the bracing pieces together and then kind of enclose around that, and then put the driver in, plus wiring, electronics, bracing,
and then the driver drops in. I think there's just like the baffle front that even drops through that. So I mean, it's all really clean. It was pretty smooth for me. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the best thing for your buck.
Rack amp. So you just got like is it speaker wire or like a speak-on connector?
Yeah, it's 12. I think they recommend 12 gauge for the subs, and I did speak-on, but I think the easier way would have been just to do regular banana clips or whatever and do it that way. But even the GSG guys will help you out with what they recommend, or there's a couple different amps you can use, and different sub like drivers you can use. I mean, they're a little bit different or similar, whatever is like budget friendly or more, I don't know, like low end or high, like, yeah. So they're really helpful, to even the few options that you do have with them.
I guess that's the merit too of kind of building it in and hiding it away as well. You don't have to be the best finisher, the best carpenter or the best finisher. If you have some rough edges or not the perfect paint job, you're hearing them, and the performance is what matters, not necessarily the cosmetics. So you can save a lot, probably of some money and some worry or effort, not needing to focus so much on finish. Obviously you want to put them together nicely, but different
there. Yeah, I think you save the most by really doing it yourself, but I mean, you still get like crazy performance for what it is there. I mean, the only reason I say that's because of shipping these days, but I think they make it pretty reasonable for sure.
Julius is asking how long did the build take?
I was trying to reply here in the chat, but I can just talk anyway. It took, I want to say, a weekend. It was a while back, and if I had a picture still, these things were like near fields behind my sofa in the living room for a while. I bought them, and I was like, I'm just gonna get these because I know I'm gonna want, like, I know I want some full Martys eventually for the basement. So they were taking up space in my living room for a while. So it was a little bit longer than the room was that I bought these. But I want to say a weekend you could do it in.
Nice, and that was to build the two that you built.
Yeah.
And then where are they at in the room again? You've got some up front or all up front stacked?
Yeah, the Martys are on the floor, and then the VBSSs are above. I think it's the thirds of the room, if I remember right. We did
it in the inside. Yep. So you've got a couple other interesting things going on in the space. For example, the HVAC device kind of up behind you on camera there. Talk a little bit about that.
Yep. That was a good idea. I mean, it's all about the sound containment for that, where they talked to, like, a lot of people recommended mini splits, and not as common in especially Michigan, because the guy that installed them was basically saying, because Michigan gets so cold, they're a little bit less efficient at like 0 degrees and negative temperatures. But I mean, California, they're really big because they're really efficient when it's not extreme temperatures. So like they can heat the house really well as a heat pump, or vice versa. But the main draw for this one for home theaters is that it's ductless. So there's a line set that brings in the cool like exchanger from the condenser outside. But I mean, it's all ductless. So I mean, there's no big holes in the wall or no big ducts to kind of make it worse to because I say worse because you can definitely like wrap it and do flex duct and all those different things to contain it, but it just kind of simplified it, and it keeps it comfortable for sure.
Yeah, theaters are definitely a special case when it comes to room feel. Right, they get warm, lots of bodies, couple hours, closed up space, projectors blowing hot air in. So you don't have that's the entirety of your HVAC in the space. There's no additional ducting or anything else coming in
this room, right? For sure. Yeah, in this room, that's it. And it's not in the perfect space if you're trying to emulate this and do what I did. I mean, the only downfall is I've seen some on sidewalls, but we just, I don't know, maybe we did it for symmetry, but it does kind of like maybe hit you in the back. And we talked about that at the meetup, where maybe we could put some kind of diffuser. But I think what I've seen is you're supposed to kind of like, is that what you have, where you have the intake in the front and the return in the back, where it kind of blows to your face instead of to your back? And I think that's maybe the best practice, but for what it is, I think it works really well and keeps the room cool.
Yeah.
The rest of the head returns and the rest of the house tied in.
Yeah, being in the basement alone, I think, helps a lot. Just maintain comfort, I guess, maintain temperature. It's cool. The use of the room starts off cool to begin with. And so, my room is serviced by just the regular HVAC that was ran through the entirety of the house. So there's a couple of vents that blow through. Before this was a theater, we would always just leave the doors open as well. So there's not a whole lot of returns. So we're getting air in, but we're not really getting like air out of here. But for our family, 2 hours watching a movie, we could go a lot longer for our use before it would start to feel uncomfortable. I know when we were hanging out a couple of those weekends, a few of us, when we were playing with 3 projectors and stuff back here for a longer period of time, it was getting warm. The need to open the doors and stuff up a bit but for any given night, like movies, anything like that, I'm happy that my the space has worked out fine, or the what we have built already into the infrastructure of the room has worked out fine.
Yeah. I think I've read so many horror stories about how hot the projectors get, where I was expecting the worst, and I don't think my room heats up too crazy. So I think I've planned enough for it. But yeah, like you said, the 3 projectors, but it's been okay.
A little bit of HVAC treatment goes a long way as well. So it's not like you probably even have to have that thing blasting, right? You can just kind of set it on its lowest setting, and it can maintain comfort. I presume it can maintain comfort pretty well.
Sometimes I just turn it on just to get some circulation going, and it's not really like warm in the room. It just kind of circulates there.
Yeah. So as folks are coming in, if you have questions for Kevin, anything about his spaces, his gear, his project, his process, things that he learned, please post away, fire them into the comments. We're happy to cover any of the topics related to the space and all of that. So please ask whatever questions you have on your mind. So let's talk about the projector mount. So you've got a little hush box up there. You were doing some extra work, adding some more airflow to it. How did that evolve?
It was actually, I think probably, I think his name is Jeff on AVS, Big Mouth. I kind of FaceTime with him a couple times, and like doing the soffit around the room, it would have been a disaster to do a soffit and then a mount, and like, because you would have you wouldn't have had room for the HVAC or anything like that. So basically, early on, I think it was an idea just to box it out. It's one big box that's, I think it's MDF or not MDF, the particle board stuff, and then drywall. But yeah, so I realized I boxed it out, but then the specs on the NX5 show like you should have this much extra space and then this much depth and height. I was just being extra precautious. I had a little thermostat and things like that, but just to get extra airflow, I mounted AC Infinity fan. Like it's made to be rack mounted, but I got little bolts that went from the top and bolted it in and made it work. And yeah, all I can say is those are way louder than you would even. I wouldn't even want that. It's louder than my NX, the Behringer fans. Like everyone always talks about how loud those are. That this was actually louder than that when I thought about it, and I was like, even in my hallway, you wouldn't really want that to kick on. But I swapped out the fans, and I had an old Monster surge protector that I just had it laying around. It's and it served the purpose because it had this weird, like, I don't know if they even what they marketed it as, but basically it does trigger the fan. It basically, when the projector turns on or a TV or whatever, it senses the signal and then turns on these other ones. It was like the green something. So that's the way my fan is going to trigger whenever the projector's on. So it'll just kick on and kind of run in the background.
Nice. And so you kind of cut out like a rectangle on the bottom of the box there, right? And did that, did the fan assembly like flush in there then, or kind of mounted over top of that hole?
Yeah, it's flush on like from the bottom, so it's nice. Flush, like kind of like what a rack mount would look like, but just has the bolts through the top. But yeah, you wouldn't really see it unless you tried to look for it.
Nice. And you're blowing up air in behind it, and then the projector.
Yeah, just to give the NX more intake air, and then it pushes out the front.
Yeah, I love the idea of like a box shelf, especially you get it built out right. You get that shelf built out level, and you never have to worry with some of the challenges of a ceiling mount. To me, like the RPA mounts and all the stuff, they've got so many like dimensions of movement and shift and pan and tilt and all that really getting alignment can be troubling. Versus if you're just setting a projector down on a flat level surface and you don't have to, reorient it, you're only really then dealing with one dimension of, getting it shifted square. And then from there, it's all just, lens shift, zoom, and all that stuff takes over. That's so much easier. And I wonder so much too about like, I got my ceiling mount, I think pretty darn secured into some of the wood elements of the soffit that it's mounted into, but we're still underneath my living room, and my son jumps off the couch and slams down on the floor, literally right above where this projector is. And we just went through a summer's worth of construction outside, like redoing roads and things, and shaking our house so much it was like an earthquake. And so I'm sure I've got like, any rumble that comes through, throws a little tolerance off and all that, but having it set in there like that, to me, just comes off so much more stable.
Yeah. I mean, you know how heavy these things are, where it's like, you wonder how much that ceiling can take before.
Yeah. Especially now, like the big boys, like the NZ9 and stuff, if you were going to like 60 pounds or whatever I
guess they find a stud, but
yeah. All right. Chadman PAC, he had a lot of questions for Dan, I think, last week along these lines. So he says, how did you decide on specific bed layer speaker models, height channels, and projectors? So let's talk about speakers first. You went Triad, right? Tell us about your decision process there.
I think the kind of decision tree, I have some DIY sound group speakers in my living room, and I bought those off Jared, and Jared's actually really, really good at making them look nice. He veneered it, and it coincidentally just looks like my living room floor, where it's like kind of red, reddish oak, and he did a really good job. And I have these, and those were going, and I only have a pair because that's what he made, but I was trying to find a third. I was trying to find like HT8s and HT. So long story short was, one, those are a lot harder I've never built one myself, but there's a little bit more work, it seems like, to do than a GSG flat pack, where you have to put the crossovers in and do all this and that. So little bit intimidated, but I also never found them because they were so out of stock during COVID and everything that I never actually found any more DIY sound. I didn't have a matching or a third $12.99. I didn't have the other ones. And then basically I went to Steve Smith, Home Theater Guru, YouTube, where he kind of did the sound treatments and the speaker layout and everything. And basically he really loves trads, and I get why, because like I said, the speakers are in the columns and they're flush with the kind of in walls and in ceilings, and I think you can kind of hide them well and do everything. So I guess based off his kind of recommendations, I went with Triad. Silvers kind of just, I don't know, fit the budget. Didn't really have the room for golds. I think those are a pretty big jump up, and in the way, like, I think what they say is that they're not that much of a quality difference. It's more just SPL dynamics and kind of larger room sizes. So yeah, just ended up getting the silvers all around based off of like kind of the room layout that Steve gave.
So your surrounds are the 3 driver versions. There's a mid range.
I think there's a mid and a tweeter in those ones.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, the direct. Okay, the direct radiators, not those. What about your height channels, Atmos channels?
The Atmos it's like a rotating, and those ones also got really good reviews because they have like the 45 off axis. It's a rotating woofer, and then the tweeter is like you can basically bend it, and you can put a like a 9-volt battery in there that has the laser. So it's like you can kind of point it right at your center spot, right where basically I'm at now. And the rear ones you had to build it into, or I kind of had to because of all the stuff in the ceiling soffit. So they're probably further back than they should be. So like basically you can really angle it harder to hit over here. So like you can always kind of never be too far off axis with that style of speaker. So those were kind of the pinnacle of getting them anywhere. Like I think Dan even mentioned last week. So
yeah. And so your front heights and the rear heights, they're in the soffit, or they're
the back ones are in the soffit. I think there's a lot of ductwork and other stuff in one of those like joist bays there. But the fronts are up here in the main part. So they've got the height.
And you got the JVC NX5. How did you what was
the NX5? Yeah, I think I just went with a JVC because I still have a plasma in the living room, and I just really like the blacks of JVC. So it was kind of a no-brainer to go. Like I think everything has their brand. Like I think Sony's probably have the pop of color, or JVCs are known for their black levels. So I'm a sucker for black levels, I guess. So kind of went that route.
Yeah, I've been super happy with mine. With the NX7 for sure. That line of projectors, that NX, I think, was a really landmark in terms of how much we got from those models, right? Being the first full 4K, native 4K, and then with the tone mapping features and the software stuff that came along, plus the regular JVC performance and all that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm very, 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 very pleased with that purchase. Still like an NZ at some point, but
yeah,
that's with an NX, it's not, I don't think there's a super draw to need to upgrade anytime soon, I guess maybe.
Yeah, that's definitely the good thing. I bought mine when I even heard the announcement that the next gen's coming, and saw the announcement, and I think these will still stick around for a while. And even when you look at your projector, mine, I mean, there's not much more you can ask for besides for lasers and a little bit more, but I mean, very incremental besides for the laser, I guess, in my perspective.
And twice as much on the MSRP just
as much to keep it.
Yeah, for sure.
These new firmware updates, though, with the NZs, it's kind of disappointing we don't get any firmware updates anymore. But
yeah, I was crossing my fingers to hope that some of the tone mapping improvements, some of that stuff would trickle down. Business engineering wise, I can understand the decision. It costs money to deploy software back like that, and then you've got to test it and everything. But the core, I think, the light engines are different, and the NZs have, I think, more powerful processors, which are enabling some, more of the things that the NZs are doing versus the NXs. But it feels like feels like they could throw, they could still throw a bone.
Yeah, they
out.
could have, but I
But
mean, it's always the previous stuff never gets attention. I'm not too surprised.
But we had a good run, I guess. So I definitely like the idea of projectors being on. As much as I harangue like so much other technology to like give me a yearly update, projectors and stuff like that is certainly not one that's in the echelon of gear, I think, that wants to be stable for a good couple of years, at least 2 if not 3 years between models, and really see them pump up the releases and make the devices better with software. When we're talking about devices like that and spending so much money, and so on, it's a far cry from an Apple TV or whatever.
Yeah,
for $150 to buy a new one each year. But
that's kind of how Anthem is, and JVC is kind of similar, right? They both
yeah
don't have as many like annual upgrades, but they have their different software and things like that. Because I mean, the NXs were out for a decent while. I got mine at the tail end, but
yeah,
they didn't come out every year. I think it was 3 years, maybe at least.
3 years, yep. I think in between, plus or minus a little bit because of the actual availability. So Julius is asking if you had any professional calibration done, maybe on the video or the audio side.
No, I would like to. I feel like, and I was kind of picking what's his name, Pixel Busher's brain a little bit on the calibration side. And, it'd be something I'd have to dig into to do my own, but or if he wants to come back and check it out. But yeah, if I ever, I was looking around at some of the guys that do it, and I think a lot of them do audio as well. So like, if I were to do it now, then okay, if I get a different processor, I'd have to kind of redo things if I wanted to get an audio calibration, like kind of double dip there if I had him do both or something. So yeah, kind of held out, and so far I think we changed a few settings the other week, so I think it looks okay out of the box, and I didn't change any settings, and then we changed a few, and I still think it looks okay. But yeah, maybe something down the road. I think it's definitely worth it, maybe, but.
Yeah, I think Pixel Andy's got a ready-made business in this area to to go full ISF and go around to all these rooms and do cals. He helped me do the JVC auto cal. I've been meaning to get the devices and get set up to do that anyway, but in the process of messing around, was able to have him run that. Yeah, I haven't done any either that, or maybe one of the other things we might want to think about, as a Michigan crew, is like, how do we get like a Chris Deering or, one of those kind of folks out here, committed to do a dozen rooms or something in a week and just zip around in a group org, come together, and cost share it, something like that.
Yeah, I think that HD Chad, one of those guys. Yeah, he kind of does the tours, but the more people that make it worth it, the better, I'm sure. Did you say pick Andy dig your room? Like, I was gonna ask what you thought before and after wise, like if you got any, because I know you were messing around with the other projector and things. I think
I think it punched it up a little bit. So it was I think the first day that I had the Epson LS 12,000 here, still have it actually sitting in the next room, and he brought his other Epson over and basically just kind of shooting them off and wanting to do a little bit of color calibration, but he had the meters and he had the stuff to be able to run the auto cal. I think once you get used to it, doing the JVC auto cal isn't terribly technical. It's definitely not beyond like either one of us or any of the people I would suspect watching the stream. You just got to have the gear. It's a few $100s or whatever, I think, of getting the right meters. You can spend less on the meters, but then they're kind of like they're the unsupported models, and you got to do a little hackiness in order to buy the cheaper meters. Otherwise, you're spending more to do it. But once you have all the stuff, you can run it. And with the bull-based projector, you can run it whatever it is every several hundred hours or something, keep it up in spec, or when you change bulbs and that. So it's something that I need to get into, actually messing around with myself, and it's just something that I've put off and and haven't done much of, or haven't just done it all really yet, but plan to.
Yeah, and you made it sound like the auto cal is super easy, but if you want to really get into all the specs and what it's really spitting out, you might be able to you have to get more into interpreting it. But I mean, just being able to run auto cal on JVCs looks like, he made it sound like it's pretty easy. But
yeah, and you're getting a pretty not exactly the same as, you know, having a super pro come out and do stuff, but you're getting quite a lot, I think, of the way there. So let's see, Chadman looking for advice. So if you had a budget 5.2.4 triad silver system, but not a projector screen right away, what TV would you go with for a basement, media room, theater room, so good immersion? How far back are you sitting, Chadman? If you want to post
I'm
that
11
in there.
feet. Oh yeah,
So
how
you're,
far is Chad sitting? If you
yeah.
But you're more of a TV guy. Like I said, the projector or the TV, the last TV I got was like Paulson's, the last plasma. So
Yeah.
I mean, I think my wife might have gotten a Black Friday bedroom TV, but I am not kept up on TV since then, just because I knew my market would have been projector the next thing around. So I tend to keep my stuff for a while and just buy what I know I'm going to like for a while.
So he's saying 10 feet. So if I were to go, well, so the other question I suppose would be is the TV, how much of a stopgap is the TV, right? If your goal is projector and screen, are you talking like 2 years? Are you talking 5 years? So that might also temper what I have to say, because it's really easy to well, just throw a couple considerations out. I guess what I would suggest, if I didn't have a projection setup and I was still going to build audio, plan for a projector in the future, size goes with immersion in this case. So right off the bat, you're going to want to go as big as you can. 10 feet away is still a pretty good gap. I mean, so you're looking at a minimum, I'd want to try to get an 83, 85. If you're going 83, of course, if it's OLED, 85, if it's an LED. If you want to spend a little bit more, right, you could still get more size in something like one of those 98-inch TCLs. So he's saying 5 years, mount the center horizontally, and then change out for a projector. Yeah, 5 years is a pretty good while. And if you're talking a room for movies, to me, like nothing beats size. And if it's a dedicated space, you've got, you know, the ability to shut the lights off and all of that. I might look really hard at something like or do some research anyway on the 98. I think it's a 98 TCL, which is maybe a few $1,000s more, but I don't remember what the MSRP on that thing is offhand, if that's actually starting to approach or exceed the price of an actual projector. You might actually be surprised what you could get in the projector space. So whether if it's a matter of cost or it's a matter of like installation, and you just don't want to do projector installation yet, but you don't have to spend a lot on a screen. There's great options on Amazon, like Elite, and there's another really common, I'd say, you know, budget but popular screen brand that's escaping me right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know you can actually do the Seymour's and just buy the fabric, and you can build a box frame, and that's what I think a few guys in Michigan have done, and it's really just building the box and stapling the fabric, and it's the same good screen quality that you'd have as long as you don't warp it or anything. But yeah, that's what I would say. I don't have a ton of experience on TVs, but like you said, I mean, if you're looking for a stopgap, I would look at one of those older, what is it, the 6040s, or I mean, because if you're looking at a 90-inch TV, for 5 years, I mean, you might want to just, because you could get some resale on a projector, probably more than a TV anymore. So
yeah, I think you could probably just make it, if it provided, again, it's just a money thing and it's not like an installation challenge or step that you're not ready to take for the room yet. If you're going into a space and that's the goal, for the cost of a premium television, I think you could get yourself a nice setup, budget screen, and then, you know, these NX projectors, even like an NX5 or an NX7 used, got to be like a few $1,000s.
Right. So yeah, maybe, I mean, money wise, like if you're looking for an NZ and you're looking for a stopgap, a cheaper projector might be the answer instead of a 90-inch TV, because those still get kind of in the same realm as a cheaper projector anymore. Yeah,
that 83-inch G2 $6,500 television, now, even ahead of Black Friday a couple of weeks ago, those were starting to hit in the upper 4,000. So the discounting has been pretty severe. I think these companies want to move some things. But yeah, I mean, so mostly a money thing. My room has support being the back, limit ceiling height. Okay, 7.5 feet. So there are some, yeah, that's right. I think we talked about that last week a little bit with Dan as well. Some installation challenges in your space.
So it's only in the back. I'm trying to, because if you remember Lars's room on the way to Art's, he had the ceiling height in the front, and it was kind of like you get that line of kind of think through. I remember watching the stream last week with Dan and 7.5, because I think Lars had the ceiling height 7.5 in the front, but obviously his projector was higher and shot under it.
He shot.
But there's definitely ways around it. I feel like if you just got creative, I'd have to see pictures almost. Good
projectors would let you shift and all that around. I was just reading the other day too about some setups where like people were talking about bouncing in order to make certain throws in spaces. They're like bouncing the projected light off of mirrors and stuff, which seems like a bit of a disaster to try to get that to line up and not keystone and have other anomalies. But I guess creative solutions to challenging problems.
Yeah, I'm even looking at my screen share here, and I'm like looking behind myself. Like if you look at the mini split, it's under. If you think of a beam like Chad has, like if you put a projector there, the only difference is you have seats there. So like no one's hitting their head on that mini split. It's the seats. So I think someone else around Michigan has that where he has low ceilings, but his projector is right under kind of like the recliner part. So you're never gonna. It's kind of in between aisles. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff you can do for low ceilings, I feel like.
Yeah. The bouncing thing that I had saw people doing was to get. They were shooting the projector backwards, basically onto a mirror on the back wall, to bounce the image forward, and in order to create an extra couple feet of throw distance or whatever. I thought that was an intriguing idea. I don't think I'd want to mess with that, but I'm definitely in the case too where I need like an extra 18 inches of throw distance. And Pixel Pusher and there's a little like lens device that I might end up picking up. He keeps prodding me to get it so that we can test it out here, because he's thinking about picking up the NX5, and it's like a $40 lens off of eBay. He found a reference to another guy talking about it in Germany actually, and it's basically like a screw lens. And so he like screwed it into the lens cap, put it on the lens cap, and it's like basically a magnifier. So there's a pretty interesting write-up about it, but I think I'm going to go ahead and grab it. It's like $40. I'll have to Dremel and rack the lens cap of my projector, but you can buy replacement lens caps for like $15. So all told, it's a $50 experiment. And I think it'll be fun to see how exactly that works, and if it's a viable solution to try to get a little more throw distance and whatnot for situations where you don't have it. So 876 Oprah Winfrey says ABS forum. I'm guessing he's talking about the listing there. N7 $8,700. That's got to be a Z though.
Yeah, I was gonna say for an NX7 that sounds high actually.
Yeah, I thought the NX7s like used market were down kind of under 5. Yeah,
and they had some closeout really good deals. I posted back in the chat. I remember seeing NX9s for like almost that price or even cheaper probably. Yeah,
I thought, coming back from Audio Advice, I was thinking really hard about that, talking to the JVC folks there and some others. They had made mention that there were still some NX stock like hanging around the country, and like some of the distributors and stuff might have it on like super fire sale. And so I called around a little bit to some of the contacts they gave me, but I couldn't at that point anyway. Maybe it was too late. I couldn't find them. So yeah, I would love to see a video on. Yeah, that's on that lens. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I keep forgetting to actually just log in. I got it sitting on my browser window. I just need to go in and buy it, and it'll be here sometime mid-December, and then get together. So maybe we'll have a little meetup, a little tinker meetup, and install that and see what's what, because like I need another foot
what
or so to fill up my screen. What does that product
do then? That's not the mirror thing? That's something else?
No, right? It's a lens. Yeah, here I can pull it up actually. It's pretty neat.
The mirror reminds me of like the eye doctor. They do that for the eye chart. Like they shine it at the wall, and then it magnifies to the front of the room.
Yep. Same idea. All right, yeah, here, let me put this up because it's kind of fun. So this is it. Zomi Ultra Slim. So it comes in, this might be a little hard to see. Comes in a bunch of sizes, but I guess you need the 72 is the right size. So it's a threaded lens, right? And again, you basically like Dremel out the lens cap. You put this in the light path, and it magnifies. So it gives you essentially the equivalent of extra throw distance, bigger image at the same throw. And then with the JVC zoom and shift and right, all of those features, you can get the image back down. So conceivably, if I put that lens in my light path, I'd get the bigger image. That right now I'm at the edge, I'm at the limit of my zoom. I've got the image zoomed as big as I can possibly get it. So that would probably overspill it. Then I would have the adjustment to zoom it back down and then, you know, shift it back where it is. But Andy was saying he's looking at an NX5 and he doesn't have the throw to make his screen for that projector either. And he wants to know the idea, whether this lens idea might work for him or not, gating his purchase of the projector. So
you have to you have to cut out that lens area though. That would probably be a deal breaker for me if I'd have to cut around.
Well, so you have to mount it, right? It's a threaded thing, but the JVC lenses, they don't have threaded lenses, so you can't directly attach it. And you want to make sure that it's like kind of right, nicely centered in the light path and like stably attached to the projector. So the guy that did like the blog write up about it, the German guy, basically said he cut his lens cap up, and then right. So with a little Dremel tool, you could cut kind of the perfect little tight circle, and then just kind of thread into the plastic of the lens cap. So you reckon your lens cap, not the projector itself, just the lens cap.
The cap's a lot better. Okay, I thought you were cutting out the outside of the projector.
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. But you can buy. They still have them too. So like the replacement lens caps are $15 if I trash it to do that, and then if I ever sell a projector someday, be able to sell it with a legit lens cap. So we'll see that. Got to get the order for that in and see what's what there. So back to Kevin's room. Julius is asking, what about your cables? Yeah, tell us about your cables. How did you get some video from the rack to the projector, speaker cable? What are your
the video from the rack to the projector is, I think, the monoprice active stuff. I mean it worked. I was kind of skeptical. It's a longer run if you saw. Okay, so I forgot if it's like 35 feet or however many meters they come in. So yeah, the audio, everything in the house is 12 gauge, probably way overkill. And it was, I worked with like an IT company, and he gave me like their distributor. I forgot what the brand was, but it's actually pretty good audio cable. And it was just kind of the stuff that they used in bulk. Let's see, but everything else is kind of a mix of monoprice and other stuff.
It hiccuped on me for a second. You said it was about a 35-foot HDMI from rack to projector?
I think so, because it comes in like meters, and I forgot how many. Like it was the one that like if you had like I don't know, like this one, and then like it might be like 10 meters is 40 feet or something like that, and then like anything more was like jumped up in price significantly, and probably not as good of an idea to do 4K off of or anything. Right. But, I think it's probably because it has to go from the ceiling down and around in the rack. That kind of adds some distance.
Is it fiber? Do you go fiber or copper?
I think it's just the HDMI copper.
Okay.
Or it might be, but I can't remember.
Yeah, that's right at the limit. I think where nowadays you can do that run of HDMI pretty reliably, even without fiber.
Yeah, there's some creative solutions, but I was glad. I mean, you can kind of tell it either works or it doesn't for HDMI, and it seems to work all right. What else is there? There's really nothing special for cables. I tried to get some like Amazon Prime deals when I got those amps, and they were just so skinny that it actually did have a bunch of feedback. I know and then just even basic monoprice cables worked fine after that. There's no as long as you don't have feedback, I was perfectly fine with the RCAs that I used, and the other ones were just, it was like wire lampshade. It was really flimsy. Maybe no shielding, I don't know, but that was the only difference. I know they say wires don't matter that much, but that was the only time where it actually was. You plug it in, it was like, it's like
picking something up. Yeah.
But no, I don't have any real fancy cables, I don't think.
Nice. So, my question: will you put your ear up to your speakers? Do you hear anything? Do you hear any? Do you hear any hiss? Do you hear any buzz?
See, I feel like if I had to A/B that, I got rid of an Emotiva Bass X amp, and I swear I don't think I had any hum or anything on that amp. And like when I had a receiver, I don't think I ever had this issue, but the Outlaws have a slight hum, and they have this. It is a ground that you plug in, and then it has, like, if you look at your chassis on a receiver, probably your Anthem, it does have like a ground that you can plug into, and I never used it before this, but it significantly dampens it from not using it at all. But now I would say you can hear a tiny amount. Like I don't think it's noticeable. I don't think it's anything negative about the Outlaws, but I think it's interesting that like when I had a receiver, I don't think I remember ever having that.
Yeah,
maybe
the better gear.
Yeah. So I don't know if like you get like a 200 watt amp, like is of the Parasounds, like more wattage going through, or you just always going to get that feedback of more gain or whatever the word is, and audio.
I don't know. That's the bane of my, that's my quest now is to quiet this stuff out. In the theater, it's not that bad. I get some little hissy noises, and admittedly, I got to get close. Certainly the projector and the leaching of my HVAC noise is louder than my speakers, but my living room speakers, they definitively buzz differently than the surrounds do down here. And so I got another video coming. I just got it prepped. I think it'll go, might even be the week after next, or no, next week actually, where I tore my whole rack apart the other day and like disconnected everything, unplugged everything, and really got down to essentially like the amp and the speaker. I didn't fully disconnect all of the other connections just because it was a bit of a pain, but I did connect even some of the preamp to amplifier connections. I tried grounding lines and all this stuff, and I felt like maybe I diminished the noise a little bit, but it never fully went away. So
have you tried different amps? So you said your living room's different or worse, like because you run the same amp in your living room, right? So
it's the same amps. Yep. I share channels, so there's channels of the same amps driving the speakers in the living room as the theater. I want to have I was talking with Brian about it, about having him maybe bring his monoprice over, and we'll do a video or something about it, and plug it in and see if, like, in the same installation, all else being equal, right, is the monoprice. I think he's got the Class D monoprice, the Encore one, is that quiet in a way that the Parasounds are not. But I bought some other stuff in the meantime. So this one was recommended a bunch in the comments. The i-Fi, I spent like $600 on Amazon ordering this stuff, but it's all returnable, so whatever. The i-Fi AC purifier. So you're supposed to plug this thing into the outlet, kind of like the PS Audio noise harvesters that didn't do anything. I think it's kind of the same general idea. They even call it the noise terminator. That's probably, I doubt they paid for that license. But so this thing's got some lights on it, and it's supposed to tell you like if you have noisy power or not power. So I'll plug this in and listen. And then I realized too that I was using like RCA to XLR cables for the connection for those speakers. The ones that buzz the most are on RCA to XLR crossover cables. And so I bought straight XLR to XLR cables for there. And then I also picked up, this box got a little bit trashed. Open this up here. The big gun power cable. Ooh. Pangea. That's like the AC9 SE Mark II. It's like a $200 power cable. I didn't even realize how thick this thing is. It's like a
That's
snake.
serious.
I don't think I
It's
can
like a
actually
surf line
plug.
into my house. Yeah.
Yeah, probably scare my cats if I tossed it on the floor. I don't think I can plug this thing in, honestly. It doesn't bend. I might have to send this back and get a longer one. I underestimated just how, but I'm very curious to try this. I got a couple different things to do one at a time, and we'll see if we get the
Right. Yeah, because it was funny to plug in as I was like swapping out amps. Like, I don't think I ever had any humming, and then I did like have those really cheap wires that there was one that was like going around. If I plugged in the one RCA and then plugged in the next one, it would like go into the surround the next round. So like it was a bad wire. And then I'm just wondering like if Brian brought over his monoprice, if you notice a difference amp to amp, so you might think, oh, the Parasounds have more hum, because that's why when I looked at Outlaws, people said, oh, I returned it because of too much hum. And I don't have that problem, but there's something there, but it's not noticeable. It doesn't really affect the noise floor, but I feel like amps maybe contribute to it, where I don't know if the electrical is for you or not, or I haven't messed with Parasounds, but
I don't know. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to try some Class D. I was thinking too, if he brings that over, maybe open it up again to some of the Michigan guys as well. If anybody wants to come over, we can A/B some monoprice and Parasound and do some blind testing or whatever. See if anybody can tell the difference in an amp. So a couple more comments here. Oprah, any update on DTX Pro for Anthem? I haven't seen anything. Anthem's been pretty quiet with their firmware. My main source of Anthem, the state of Anthem news, has been the owners forum for the current AVM devices and MRX devices on AVS, or sorry, the owners thread on AVS forum. And quite honestly, I'm probably like many pages behind what's going on there. But I don't think we haven't really seen firmware in a few weeks since like summer. Anthem, they did the big formal release of like the non-beta official release of the speaker delay integration phase. All that stuff came out. It's been quiet kind of since then. Given the timing of the year, I kind of don't expect another firmware drop probably this calendar year, especially with some of the upgrade problems they had the last time. So at this point, I think all is going to be quiet until after the new year. But we'll.
So is DTX Pro, is that the I mean, it's the competitor to the Dolby Atmos, right? But like, is there much out there format content wise?
So well, there's DTS-X, which it supports, and then there's DTS-X Pro. And my understanding, somebody probably can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think the difference is DTS-X will only upmix or basically only address or upmix a limit of speakers. I want to say like 11 or 13. And so for the folks that have wides and the folks that have like extra locations, if you're rocking the full like 9.4.6 that like an AVM 90 or whatever, or an AVM 70 even could do, if you matrix out some of the subwoofers, it doesn't use all the speakers in that configuration. In order to do that, you got to have DTS-X Pro, and they promised it, but it's kind of been a little bit of a failure to deliver from Anthem on that feature actually coming to market. But I don't think they're alone. I feel like there's a number of brands where DTS-X Pro is not become available, but for the folks with 13 channels, they want to use all their speakers, right?
Is there a Dolby alternative? Does Dolby have an upmixer that'll do all those 9.4.6?
Yeah, so I like Atmos. I think Atmos is already using those channels, or maybe.
Well, I mean, like an upmixer, like if it's in 7.1 and they want to upmix to the 9.4.6, I think like you can use some kind of Dolby
surround upmixer.
Surround upmixer.
Yeah, I'm not 100%, as I've never needed to know myself, because I don't have that many channels. So
I usually just keep it on the surround Dolby upmixer, and I assume when it's 5.1, it'll play throughout everything.
It will.
I don't have that many channels either.
Right. We both have. Well, I've got 7.2.4. You got 7.4.4, effectively. So we don't. It's a non-starter for us, because the number of speakers that we have are covered by all of the encoders that are out right now. So Gopinath says, try to mix of Outlaw amps, Anthem, Parasound. Never had hissing problem with B&W speakers. Yeah. I don't know. My quest,
Yeah,
my quest continues.
So does your Anthem to Parasound, does it have XLR to, like segueing
Yeah.
into I think it's Brian at Hi-Fi Home Theater. Like, so
Oh,
it's
there's next
XLR
one.
to XLR, right? So that would
Yeah.
be the
Well,
next thing that you might want to try if you
yeah.
don't.
I'm already XLR. So everything from the AVM 70 to the Parasounds is XLR to XLR. The STR that I run, the 2.2 for the living room, is RCA. I use the RCA outs of the STR. The reason I do that is because I use triad rack amps for the triad subs that are in the living room, and those don't have XLR inputs. So I just, and then, but the problem, there's another compound. It's all this like installation problems, right? The Parasound A52 Plus 5-channel amplifiers have a system level switch for whether the amp channels should use the RCA input or the XLR input. Higher end amps like the A31 have a switch on each individual amp channel. So because I'm using XLR already for all of the theater channels, I have to use the XLR input of the A52 modules that I'm using for the living room, but I'm using RCA for the triads. So I'm just gonna mix it up basically and switch the output of the STR to be straight XLR to XLR. If anything, if any of this stuff is going to make any difference, I think that will be it though, is moving those two speakers from RCA to XLR to XLR to XLR, and hope that maybe the RCA conversion might have something to do with it. So
Yeah, kind of giving me hope too, because I have the receiver now. So if I go to a processor and I can do straight XLRs, I might remove any of them that I have at all right now.
Yeah, it's possible. Even for small runs, like you said, right, with your other cables, short cable, cheap cable was picking stuff up. Mm-hmm. So let's see, a few more questions we'll hit through here. Any follow-up with Anthem on the AVM 70 8K boards? No, nothing on that either. I've got my registration in. I did it within a week or whatever of the request opening back up. But I haven't gotten any update indicated, and I don't think anything's changed on the webpage. Again, I'm a couple weeks behind the discussion in the owners' spaces online, so I need to catch up on that a little bit. But yeah, same thing. We're getting so close to the holidays now that I don't know. I kind of feel like they might as well just say 2023 at this point. But we'll see. So Julius Essen. So you have any background in electronics or construction? What tell us about how you went about running your project.
No, definitely no electronics. I mean, like I said, I got into all of the wiring. Like I had wanted to do like the CCNA Cisco kind of route in college, but then I just basically was glorified what do they call it, like technician of wiring. So I got the itch to I can do this myself in my residential house, and so I did a lot of this stuff myself the first time around when we built it. But then I got a hand doing everything, because I had to extend everything that was already like I said, the distributed audio all had to be extended from that old rack to the basement. So it was a lot of basically extension cords going through the basement to this new rack. So the construction though, I got the idea generally from how our house was built the first time. We really went through all the phases of, besides for foundational stuff, the second time around. I mean, you have to do the framing and the utilities, and then you can do the drywall and insulation and all this stuff. So I mean, no, I've done a few kind of rental house things where I'm always doing some kind of house project, and kind of I try and do as much as I can on my own, but then it usually I find my limits pretty quick and see the value in hiring somebody out and just understanding it all. So I mean, the project, you always kind of go the standard. You get a few quotes, and then we did it kind of a step at a time, or tried to stay a step ahead, where we're hiring out a few quotes for framing, and we probably could have went with a general contractor, but I thought I was saving money at the time, but I'm not sure how much I really saved by trying to piece it out that way. But I mean, we had someone framing it, and at the same time we were getting quotes for the plumbing and the electrical and things like that, and kind of just staying ahead of it. The drywall guys, did everything, including kind of that double drywall in here and everything else. And the same kind of framer was more of a handyman, and he came back and helped me with the columns and the riser and some of these, like, I don't know, other stuff like the front wall frame build out and all this stuff. So trying to think, it all kind of, we kind of have like an HVAC guy that we've used a couple times that he did a really good job, because even we have 2 bedrooms upstairs, and those would always get cold in the winter, and they never get all the ducts going all the way upstairs. So I mean, we put a mini split in both rooms upstairs, and we have the one behind me. So I think that was actually a really good idea at the time.
You've got some like rental investments, right? Or so you're connected to some tradesmen and
try and keep the good ones around, and like the HVAC guy has stuck around. And for rentals, you always have to have a rental certificate and basically tune up your HVAC and show the city that it has no like carbon monoxide and things like that, or any leaks, and keep it safe and all that. So yeah, the HVAC guy has been great. Just knowing, I don't know, good handyman people are hard to come by. It's like the good ones, I don't know why that they don't really either you can't find them or something, but try and keep the dependable ones around.
Yeah, it's hard. We had so many projects around our house now, like backed up, that needed to get done, and trying to find people, like getting ghosted by folks, or over quoted on some things. So I finally just this year, or like springtime-ish, we finally found like a handyman that helped deal with some long overdue stuff. But like I've got probably 7 projects that I want, that we need to get nailed through on the house here, and we're only like 2 in. But it's so hard to find people. It's kind of like, he did great work, and his pricing was awesome. And so it's like, all right, it might take us 2 years to get all these things done, but at least they'll get done. We've got somebody, but he's so in demand as well around like our whole neighborhood. It's a good time, good business to be in, I guess, if you do good work and charge appropriately for it.
Yeah, the framer came back and did, like I said, the riser, and he was going to do some other work around our house, and he got a new job as like a site manager, property manager for like a property management company, and like he's obviously way too busy doing that. So I'm like, man, I wish we could keep him around, or like, I just have the good ones get swamped.
Yeah, I want him for a theater project as well, because I think after the house, I need to get the house things taken care of, but after that, I kind of want to rebuild out some of the TV bump out speaker layout of the living room a little bit, in order to make it more modular, because I think I'm going to have some opportunity to get some different sets of in walls, basically, for demo review and all of that, through some discussions that I've been having. But it's one thing to test speakers when you can just plop them in a room and change them out. But in walls are in all different shapes and sizes, and cutting drywall and refinishing drywall, like that's not going to fly. So I need to come up with
a whole tear down and
I need to come up with like a modular way where like the columns next to our TV isn't just drywall, but it's like maybe we do like an inset kind of panel, where we can pop the panel out and then get a new board panel for a new speaker, cut out that specific speaker shape, put it up, and then have, hide it behind some kind of like acoustically transparent, black foam. It's got to be nice and finished and all that stuff, because it's the living room, but I need it to be modular to be able to put different speakers in and out, and extra height, different sizes and all that. So we'll see where things go. That's going to be more of definitely like a 2023 kind of idea. But question from Travis: 8 months since the Arendal subs bid. Still happy with them? Satisfied still? Yeah, I think Arendal remains a really great brand. I know Audioholics in the last couple of weeks had a long video with the guys from Arendal, and had their talk about Perlison. I think there's some really, really awesome brands that have kicked up. And Brian, Hi-Fi Home Theater in the channel, I believe, just put up his video about 1723S towers. He's got a whole Arundel speaker room going over there. I've just got the subs, but yeah, the performance is awesome. I think the subs, like, they hit like ninjas. They're just tight, accurate. What I really need to do with them is play around a little bit more with my positioning. I kind of have them at the front of the room where they fit like aesthetically, but what I really want to do is kind of pull them around, maybe down the sidewall a little bit, and kind of filter around, because I've got like some 50 hertz nulls in my space that Anthem Arc is dealing with. But it would be better to not have the nulls, or have the nulls nullified with better positioning, and then let Arc be more free to adjust after that, than to rely on Arc to try to fix these deep nulls, which I don't think any room correction can really do super effectively. So that I need an afternoon to come down here and do that and make a video about that as well. But yeah, I would still recommend the brand. I think they're about to have some price increases too, if I recall correctly. They just popped an email. I think the 1961 series stuff is eminently going to have its price increased. So if you're thinking about anything from them, you might want to check it out, or move on that. Another question: use a mini DSP for subs. So I just use the AVM 70. I've got two subs. It's got two discrete sub outputs, but Kevin's got the more involved setup here. How do you bass manage and EQ for four subs with the Yamaha?
See, I was gonna say, if you have yours in the corners and it's like aesthetics, I think whatever Steve Smith did, it works, because I think it's the thirds where it's like equal distant or whatever he picked. But I have the four subs, right? And I did kind of you do one and then you do the second one and make sure it like kind of summations correctly. And I kid you not, I didn't do any room delay. I didn't do any delay, and you do use a mini DSP. I forgot to say that, but so I'm thinking, you see all these tutorials where you have to like play with it, do the phase and reverse the phase, or add more and more delay. But like, I use zero delay in the second one, and it sums much better. The third one sums better. So I didn't use any delay, which I think what that means is if I used like say an AVM 70, I could get away with the two, like kind of pairing up my subs, and because it doesn't take each individual sub to tweak. So I think you can kind of run them in pairs. And having four subs, it was really easy to get them, because I didn't have to do a whole lot with how it was set up in the room.
So what's your process for your mini DSP? So that's a device that, people love it. It gets so much play, but it's not one that I've ever really, I guess, experimented with much myself.
Yeah. It feels intimidating. I mean, it's a little box. It has the two inputs and four outputs. Four. So the 2x4 HD. So I mean, the way that I think I've watched a few YouTube tutorials on it is basically your four subs, or if you have more than that, even, they might be actually hurting each other. So you want to make sure they're all actually gaining output instead of like balancing or kind of crossing each other out and not actually adding anything. So what you'll find a lot of the time is you'll run one and you have to use REW, the Room EQ Wizard software. You'll get a little the U mic or whatever mics you want, and I guess like Arc has all this stuff that you can just do built in. But if you really want to like just check things out, REW is just a software. Like the mini DSP is what you do to change the settings. So REW is just checking out. You can do a sweep and you can see the curve and all that stuff. So what you do is you just basically run it, and then you'll see like, oh, it drops off here, and really you're just wanting to see if you add another sub, you should see it get more output than less. And a lot of the time you'll see a certain spot go dip lower than the first one. So when you add delay, usually it'll like help to balance out those two subs. And then once you have the 2 subs where you want it, you treat those as a pair, and then you go to the 3rd sub, and you'll kind of keep doing the rinse and repeat until you get all 4 dialed in. And I think it's really just checking checking that you get more and more output, and then basically you can kind of do your curve based on that. But then that's where you EQ it once you get all the 4 subs lined up. Is I think the easy way to think of it.
Nice. Yeah, the one I'd be really interested to run is the the STC 60, like the room decay measurement. Yeah. Have you done that in your space?
Oh,
in REW?
Yeah, if I set it up right, it looks like I have a pretty good like room decay, because I think with all the riser acting like a bass trap, I feel like unless I set it up wrong, because like you can set the axes, so like it'll look really, really good if you have like too much like if you say 500 milliseconds or 350, it'll look a whole lot better, but it might be cheating or something like that. But from what I can tell, I think it looked pretty good, and you can tell and I think that one's interesting because you'll see that you have a flat response, but then the kind of waterfall graph shows like how much kind of like echo or a lot of those have. So
nice. Yeah, that's something I want to play with, just to experiment more. The Anthem, like I said, Anthem builds a lot of that stuff in, and Anthem even has a quick measure, which is nice. I think a lot of the tools, different receiver programs or whatever, they don't provide that. But so in terms of being able to just drop the mic, into the space and measure and see what's happening on a sweep with the speaker, Arc Genesis allows that. And at least so far, that's the most that I've really needed to do. So my plan was to just use that even with the positioning of the subs, and just, fire it up and move it around and kind of see where I end up.
I was going to say, do you think you could plug your Arc amp? Can you plug an Arc amp into a PC or like a computer to, because basically the mini DSP you don't need. It's more or less just using the REW software. If you want to do a waterfall graph, you might be able to get away with using an Arc amp if it's just like USB amp.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Could work if you want to try it out.
I invited Brian to join us as well here, so he just connected in.
I'm not sure. Could work if you want to try it out.
I invited Brian to join us as well here, so he just connected in. I'm not sure.
Could work if you want to try some echo.
I'll mute him. Yeah, I think Brian, you're on the delay. Or
am I in?
There we go.
You hear me?
Real time. Yep.
All right, cool. I had the YouTube thing going.
Yeah, I think StreamYard runs like a 10-second delay from the YouTube stream itself. So Brian, Brian's another local guy, right in our, actually, we're real close to each other here. He has his YouTube channel. Why don't you introduce yourself, Brian?
Yeah, my name is Brian. My YouTube channel is Hi-Fi Home Theater, and like Jeremy, I'm big into home theater. I think you're with me. You kind of lean a lot towards the musical side of things too, kind of some of the hi-fi side as well. But yeah, met both these guys on AVS forum. Been on there for years. I've known Kevin for years. I've known Jeremy for a couple years now.
Yeah, since last year, I finally got plugged into the crew.
Yeah, the growing Michigan crew.
Yeah.
Now that COVID's over, we'll be
taking off after COVID. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, super shout out. I've mentioned it in a bunch of videos, but if folks out there, if you're not connected to anybody in your hobby, you might be happily surprised to find folks in your area, folks in your state. And AVS forum has a whole section of meets all over the country. There's groups. I was on AVS forum since the early 2000s, and only just connected to to this group of guys, this group of folks last year. So long overdue. But it's been an epiphany getting out to to see other people's rooms and get ideas. You never go to somebody else's space and not come back with with ideas to bring back to your own. I think make it better in some way, or tweak this or tweak that. Julius was asking about your subs, Kevin. Ported or sealed?
Yeah, they're all ported. The full Marty has the slot port, and then the VBSs are the, what do you call those? The tubes or whatever. But yeah, I don't know musically or whatever. I don't know if there's. Brian, I know you were the 2-channel guy, and I know they always say sealed's better for music, but I don't know if I feel it. I don't get it. I think they sound great either way. As long as
I don't believe that. I think a lot of the 2-channel guys, their Achilles heel is EQ. They're like a lot of the purist 2-channel people just will not use EQ on anything.
Mm.
So when they get a ported sub in there with a bunch of low end pumping, it makes it sound boomy because they're not using any kind of EQ. And I think that's where that kind of urban myth comes from, that sealed sounds better than ported. They should sound the same. You know, they pretty much operate the same to around 30 hertz or so.
Mm-hmm. I think the main thing though that you need to take care of, Kevin, is that you need your ports to be in the front, I would presume, because you got them packed in.
See, I don't even know if that's. Oh, I mean, I do have
true?
the wall of kind of 703 to kind of cover that. But I was gonna say, I know the BTS version that they came out with have the ports on the side to save space. So I mean, maybe in my room, yeah, but I know a lot of those different versions have ports on the sides.
You just have to be careful, I guess, how you pack them into an install. Right, Chadman's asking, opinions, price, performance more on subwoofers, 2,500 cubic foot room, monolith episode, SVS, bias to movies, strong bias to movies over music. Episode's an interesting brand. When I re-outfitted my room at the beginning of the year, I was talking with Dan about Episode. It's another brand like Triad. It's not one you hear mentioned very much. It's an installer brand, but like up there in, I think, quality and performance and value and so on with Triad. I didn't choose to go that route. I went with the Arundels. In me personally, I like going a little more off brand. So I've just kind of shied away. Not that that I'd look down on them or anything, but just shied away a little bit from Monoprice or SVS, like the mainstream, in order to try some brands that are a little more off the beaten path. So, Chadman, I don't know if you
I'm not familiar with Episode.
Yeah, they're another Snap brand. I know they're like Triad got bought up by Snap, and then I was confused because it was like, why would Snap mean 2 speaker brands? But I don't know how they differentiate, but they're probably pretty decent.
Triad's good stuff, man. I mean, I've been impressed. I've been in a couple. Yours is the second Triad room I've been in, and I think Lars is the first one I was in. But, I mean, Triad impressed the hell out of me. So they make good stuff.
Yep.
I just upgraded my subwoofers. I had SVS cylinders, and I sold them, and I bought 2 of the Monolith, the 13 Ultras, and these things are stupid good. I mean, so I would absolutely recommend the Monolith subwoofers.
Yeah, I've heard everything. Yeah, a lot of good things about the Monolith subs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're a little bit cheaper than SVS too, right? Like I think SVS has good customer service, like I've heard, and everything else, but they're not on the cheap end for subs.
Right now, you can get the 12-inch Monolith right now with their Black Friday code, the BF15, for $680. I think that's before taxes, but that's crazy. It
stack them
pretty
up.
much outperforms the SVS PB2000. Pro would be its competition, but I think it outperforms that. And so for $680 plus tax, that's a crazy deal.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Chad, man, check out the Monolith, the 12-inch Monolith right now. You put that code, that BF15, in there at your shopping cart, and it'll take the price down to $680.
Yeah, now's the time to look for any internet brand deals. The price reductions are coming. The sales are on. So,
speaking of Monolith, Jeremy, you're gonna be mad at me.
No,
I sold that Encore amp.
Oh, you did before we had a chance. I was teasing it last hour. Yeah. So what do you have now then?
So another Monolith, they had the 7-channel, their AV amp.
Oh, okay.
They had a B stock. So Monoprice sent me a 20% off coupon, and then they had one of those 7 channels on B stock. So I used the 20% off on the B stock, and I sold the Encore one. But the AB one is dead silent on my system too. So I don't know. I think you just got a nasty ground loop in there.
Yeah, something. There's gremlins in the walls around here.
Yeah.
So do you think? So Brian, do you think if I'm just curious because he was talking about electronics and Jim was like, if you do this and grounding, like, do you think if you brought over a monolith versus the Parasound, it would be like amp to amp? Do you think there's differences, or is it ground loops? Is it something in the?
As far as the buzzing, it could be. So noises in the tweeter are usually two different things. They're either gain, and gain's usually just a hiss, a really solid hiss. That's usually. That's amplifier dependent and gain setting dependent, and then you have like buzzing. That's a ground loop. So I'm not sure. I haven't heard Jeremy's issue, so it's hard to tell if it's the hiss from gain settings or just the gain of the amp. I know Parasound has adjustable gain on some of their amplifiers.
Some of it, yeah. The 31 has it, and the 52s don't. So
okay, yeah. So gain is sometimes you can lower channel levels or adjust the gain on the back to get to fix that. But yeah, ground loops can cause that humming, and that could be a pain in the butt.
Do you hear at my house by any chance? Because I don't know if I guess now I want to check if I have a gain or a hiss or a hum.
Oh, don't put your ear by the speaker.
Yeah, don't do it.
If you don't hear it, don't do it.
It's a Pandora's box. I'm going to do it every other room I go to now. That's the first thing I'm going to do is go put my ear next to the speakers. But don't do it in your own room.
I had a really noticeable one. I was telling Jeremy, and I was like, it was like really, really loud. And I'm like, if this is it, I have to return it. But then I put a different wire on it, and it was fine. But I think it's the gain. I think it's what you're saying is I think it might be gain.
Yeah, gain's almost like a white noise sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's really usually a steady hissing.
Yeah.
That's down here. That's what it is. It's just like a little.
But if that's what Brian's saying, then it's not a hum. Then you're not going to get rid of that, right? Like it's
right.
You might change it. It just depends on the gain structure of the amplifier.
Yeah.
Or working in combination with your processor. So it just depends on your gain, your levels and your processor and whatever gain the amplifier has built into it.
Right. Out of the living room, and particularly the tweeters, it is more of a buzz. So yeah, we'll see. I'll do these next, or maybe even open up, have a couple guys come over and we can go at it scientifically, tear a whole bunch of stuff apart and do some more
ground loop hunting party.
Yeah, hunting party. Julius is asking about crown amps. What do you feel? Yours were the Behringers, is that right, Kevin?
Yeah, I have the Behringers.
So crown's up there, same kind of.
Michigan guy has like crown amps. He had all like the Harman stuff for everything, JBLs and crown amps. But I think crowns are supposed to be probably a step up from my Behringers. I would say if I had to say, I think the Behringers are really just getting your foot in the door. They give you all the power you need, and they're pretty much competitors to the Behringers. What do you think, Brian?
For subwoofers, I don't know if there's a huge difference. I think the iNukes do a hell of a job for subwoofers. I think if you're talking speakers, maybe the crowns would probably be.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But there's some high-end crown amps I think for speakers you can use for sure.
Yeah, that's what the M2s. I mean, that's what they're built to work with, is a crown amplifier. I don't know. I'm sure it's not the guts that's in the what is it? Their something core line. I used to have a couple of them. I actually did a review on one of them. But
is it the crowns that can do Dante too? Some of those like pro amps can do Dante too, where like Dirac or JBLs can do like you put like a network cable under your speakers or your amps, and you do like
a clock signal.
Yeah,
that I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the JBLs have that, or it was coming.
It's some like fancy EQing, but yeah, I don't know much more than that.
So speaking of sales and stuff, I guess we'll go around the room. Is there anything that, Kevin, that you're hunting with for the room, for the setup, for the gear, Black Friday deals, end of year deals?
I probably just always get a few Blu-rays or DVDs or whatever. I mean, trying to think. No, I don't know. I feel like all the good stuff doesn't really go on good Black Friday sales anymore. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. No,
The
I can't
Blu-ray
really-
the Blu-ray sales have been, my Twitter feed has been a wash in Blu-ray sales.
crazy.
They're like $5-6, movies that came out this year. It's almost disconcerting in a way. Like, is that doom and gloom for 4K? But then if
Yeah.
some of the other Twitter feeds that I follow, I forget what handles they are, but they put out, the monthly post of the share between DVD and HD Blu-ray and 4K Blu-ray, and the amount of share that 4K is getting, and then finally, like, the diminishment of DVD is happening. So I
really.
don't know, yeah, it's interesting, the potential future of physical media.
Yeah, the
Which-
4K Blu-ray deals have been crazy. Just like $10 for all the popular
Mhm.
stuff.
But you
Wow.
used to see that stuff for Blu-rays, and then you would still see
Yeah.
the 4Ks be $20-$30, and that's why, I mean,
Right.
it was so hard to justify a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Even. And then they'd sell 4K TVs, and you would get a DVD, and it's like, who's still buying DVDs? But they still sell. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. It's weird.
Anything you're after, Brian?
Kind of tapped out after the subs. Yeah,
Just got him. Yeah.
I was buying something.
yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah. I got a big old the Kaleidescape Black Friday sale is on right now as well. Actually, I have a video coming about that on Friday, but I've got a cart with a few $100s of movies in it that I'm just waiting for me to press buy. Same kind of deal. Not quite as cheap as the physical media, but get a lot of movies down to like $9.99. A lot of stuff that came out in this last year.
So that's cool. I guess Kaleidescape, they do, like, you can get Black Adam basically 4K quality right now on Kaleidescape, huh?
Yep. Yeah, I think it's been up. It's been up on K for a few weeks. A lot of Warner, especially some of the studios, they'll precede the disc release by a couple of months. Yeah, we watched Top Gun Maverick in here on K back in the summer. I don't remember exactly when it was, because the releases are they generally come early. Oh, here's an interesting one. Chadman Pack, Buckeye amps. Yeah, I just learned about Buckeye amps not that long ago. As a U of M fan, don't like the name. So the Buckeye amp guy, he's in like Northern Ohio, and he custom builds Encore and Purify Class D amps. I think a lot of people, there's a pretty good following around his stuff on AVS and a couple other forums. When his brand first came by me and I was searching around for it online, I actually reached out to him to see if he would want to, like, given we're so close, hour away or hour and a half away, if he would want to bring anything up here and demo review or whatever. But I think he's kind of like one dude doing his thing and building his stuff, made to order, and pretty well happy with the the amount of work that he has to do. So I haven't had a chance to experience one, but we'll see. Maybe into the new year, I'll hit him up again.
Yeah, they seem to get really good reviews. Everything sounds good about those Class Ds and everything. Haven't had a chance to check one out either.
Yeah, I'm a big, at least the Encore stuff, I'm a big fan. Their stuff looks really good, really well built. I know he can, he's also starting to build, at least with the 502 modules, and then stacking them vertically like Monoprice does with their own heat sinks. So I think I was talking to him about possibly getting a 4-channel 502 before I bought that Monolith AB one, and that was going to be vertical. And they looked to be really well built. So I'd say I'd recommend them.
Yeah, custom or hand built, custom built, Midwest built. A lot of virtues there.
Yeah, and he seems like a good guy too. I communicate him a little bit. He seems to have be really good with customer service and that. More so with, I think the other one is his competition kind of is probably VTV amplifiers.
Mm-hmm.
They seem, it's hard to say, they seem a little bit not as the fit and finish on them doesn't seem to be as good. Like I've seen like internal wiring shots, and they could always clean that up. But the ones in the past looked a little bit messier to me. than the Buckeye amps did. So
Is Buckeye like getting ahead of the curve? Like Class D is kind of the new thing where, I mean, he's doing them well, but it's like Class D seems like once they get it toned in, like really in there, like I think it's got a lot of potential. So maybe there's not too many competitors that other like VTV you mentioned. Like, well, now Monoprice has their one that you had.
Yeah, there's a handful of them. Several. After Audioholics a few weeks back, or maybe even a couple months back now, I think had released some of their first stuff using the new NAD device, talking about some of those same modules. And I kind of went on like a research bender, looking for all the different places that use those modules and the Purify modules and which, Encore and which ones and the different levels and what they're good for and all that. And the one that stood out to me, which I think you had one of these before too, right, Brian, was Apollon.
mm-hmm.
Maybe they just had the best presentation of their product on their webpage, but the higher end versions of those that they were showing looked like some of the nicest fit and finish of like VTV and a handful of the other ones that I had found. But
yeah, I think same thing. Their fit and finish was good. I've built several, but you used to be able to get those amps off of actually I'm pretty sure it was Buckeye used to sell just the modules. I don't think he went by that name, but used to be able to get those, and I built several amps like that. I think I ended up selling them all. But yeah, it's pretty much a module that everybody uses the same thing. You just have to wire it correctly and wire it up right. They're difficult to mess up if you know how to build them.
My Class D it's cooler, right? Like the A's and so you can do a lot more channels and everything else. And I just noticed Marantz like AV10 has a matching amp that's like a Class G. So is that similar to D, or is that completely something else? Because I noticed it's like a 16 channel amp or whatever. So I know it packs a lot of channels into one chassis.
I think the Class G, I think that's more of a AB with a different power supply, maybe like a switch mode power supply.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting because there's a lot of channels built into that thing. It's made to just be one amplifier for their new big processor that, but.
Yeah, I saw that. It's crazy expensive, though, I think.
Oh, yeah. It was like a 7,000.
Yeah,
I think it was 7,000 for the amp and 7,000 for the processor. But it was
Class D, they run cool and they're a lot lighter. Like, so the 7-channel, I know the AB monolith has a little bit more power to it, but my Encore monolith, 8-channel, weighed maybe 35 pounds. And this 7-channel AB amp weighs 93 pounds. I mean, that's it's hefty.
Big honking mass of copper and
it's got 2 toroidal, transformers in there. Whereas the Encore, each stereo module has its own switch mode power supply built into it. So it's much lighter.
That's cool. It was interesting that Marantz goes off of 2 channels driven. So I was like, it had 16 channels, but then it only gives you 2 channels driven. So I was like, I don't know, apples to apples, that I kind of wanted to see more specs.
Everybody specs them differently. I've noticed that's another thing with Monolith is they have probably the most honest specs, I think, on their amplifiers. They're even so honest that theirs is even more conservative than Hypex's own specs. Like they'll be like, Hypex only did 1 kilohertz and they were using 220 power. So they spec their amplifiers lower power, but it's more conservative value than even Hypex's own spec sheet.
Got another question here, Akash, friend, former colleague as well. Little off topic, maybe not. What's your guys' take on smart devices being part of a home theater system? Do you use any? Do you find use for them? What do you mean exactly by smart device, Akash? I think a lot of us use, control systems.
You're talking like Alexa, using Alexa to control the home theater setup.
Yeah. I've got an Echo Flex sitting in the other room over there that I bought because I wanted to play around with Control 4 voice activation for a few things. And I got a little bit of it set up. And I started messing a little bit too with like Homebridge HomeKit, with my Synology, you can basically turn the Synology into like a home bridge base or whatever the right term is. And then Siri and HomeKit can connect to that. And then that thing can issue commands to Control 4. It's pretty convoluted, and I didn't get it set up all the way. So I started down that road a little bit, and then I'm like, then I realized, oh wait, like Control 4 builds in Alexa essentially by default. Like, why am I messing with Siri and Apple stuff when I could just plug in an Echo Flex like behind one of my curtain panels in here and be able to just speak a command to, because what I really wanted to be able to do with it was like command installation modes, zoom modes for the projector and stuff like that, without having to fiddle through menus of the Neo, because I really dislike this Neo remote. But then, and before I even really got too far along with that, then they announced the Halos. So I'm just biding my time until I get a couple of the Halo remotes, which will return to having Siri commands and all the other stuff in them. So
Kevin, you got Control 4 too, don't you?
Yeah, I do too. I mean, yeah, like I was gonna say, like the I don't have any voice stuff though. Like I never had good luck with like using an iPhone, like with all that stuff, and so I don't have any voice. But like I did do your advice, Jeremy, and like messed with the screen. Was it not masking, but the lens memory. So I shifted it down, and I think if what you're saying is right, I could do like on all these remotes, you can do like the red, green, yellow, blue, and all that stuff. Like all these, but on Control 4, you can program whatever you want. On like the red button in my living room would turn on the fireplace. Terrible idea with kids now, but I used to do that. But so like what I think I'm gonna like do the red button can shift the screen down, and so like there's some cool stuff you can do with like you can just program different if statements or different so like in the bedroom, if the red button would turn off the fan light, so I can just don't have to get up or stuff like that. So yeah, you can do different like basic. I think it's a must, because if you're sitting down, you don't want, like, a lot of the lighting stuff is you need somewhere to turn off the lights, and you sit down and you got your popcorn, and then you're like, wait, the lights are still on. So yeah, a lot of the basic stuff I don't have voice control, but something something basic you need.
I can't wait for the Halos, because like these guys, they just it's such a pain. There's so few hard buttons, and so like if you want to do anything, you have to like swipe over. So it's ridiculous that by the time like you might want to execute a macro or custom command, so it's like, let me grab the remote, let me jiggle it to wake it up, let me get to the right screen, let me swipe over, push the button, and it's like, smart automation 90 seconds later.
Have you ever had the old remotes? Like just
I did, yeah. I got rid of those to get these, and that was
you didn't keep them around. It seems like they both have a place. Like yeah.
I'm still rocking the Harmony Elite, and I say a little prayer every time I put it down in the charging cradle that it continues to charge. You know, I have no idea what I'm going to do when that thing dies. I don't want to buy another one.
And that basically does everything.
I've thought of Alexa. I don't know how good Alexa would work. I do some of my lights. All my ceiling lights are smart RGB, so I have some like routines in there for whatever I'm watching a movie or TV. But I haven't really incorporated them into my home theater setup.
The lights are like one of those things. Like Control 4 can get pricey, but like I got the HC. I got it from some guy at work actually. I got an 800 and two remotes, and I think he said he used to work at Paulson's, and he was like, "Oh, I just have these." Because he works at where I work now, but like like it wasn't a lot, and then I got it initially installed. But like you can, what I was trying to say is you can eventually get more and more like light switches, and you use light switches every day, right? And then when I go to sleep, I can press the blue button on my, and if it says like bedroom, it'll just turn everything off. Like, oh, did I still have the cabinet lights on? It'll just turn the whole house off. And I mean, you use your lights the most in day to day, right? So it's like. Some of that stuff you actually do use more than you would think. So
you've got multiple remotes for multiple rooms, Kevin?
I think I got a third, but I have one in the bedroom, one in the living room, one in the basement. Gotcha. And it's just these cheapo ones. Like the Neo, I think they made more expensive, or it was supposed to be nicer, and like you said, it's got some kinks in it. That's why the Halo's coming out. But it's just a basic. It looks like any other TV remote, and I mean, but it works. I mean, there's hard buttons for watch, listen, and then you can go to list, and it'll say like lighting, and I can change the like and it's just easy. I mean,
Yep, it's
there you go.
awesome.
So
It works really well. I really powered up my programming too. It's something I've been meaning to make a video on, like writing macros in Home Composer to call from, different call points for different events. I was for being a 20-year software developer, like I was really coding my Control 4 stuff really stupid. I would, like, in ways that I would never code stuff at work or have my team members write code at work, like replicating code instead of like writing functions and macros and stuff.
Yeah,
but
there's a handful of ways to do things in Composer. Like,
yeah,
you can do it as a macro, or you can do it like on the button itself, or like, yeah, different.
double taps and triple taps.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff, but yeah, these will be the worst home theater purchase that I ever made. So $500 for remote, and I'm not going to be able to sell them. They're literally just going to go into like recycling because they're out of warranty. This one ghosts and it has image retention and stuff. The other one, somebody in the household crunched it, sat on it. It didn't survive that. So yeah. We're coming up on 2 hours here. We got a couple questions. I can roll through these really quick. Chad been asking about 4K Blu-ray players, Panny 820. I think now's a great time to pick up a Panasonic if you're looking for one on Amazon and other places. Best Buy, I think they were blowing those out along with the discs. Pretty good prices this week. I think if I were to go ahead and buy a disc spinner, I'd probably be looking at a Panasonic 420, 820, depending on what your needs are. You've got the Panasonic in your rack, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I think
I
think the difference was the 420 for projector. It doesn't have the Dolby Vision. The 820 does, and then the 9000. It's got the high end like
super
audio
chassis
or whatever. Yeah, so those are three I would look at for whatever you need. Dolby Vision, go with the 820.
Yeah. And then Julie's going back to the class. Any audio quality difference between A and B, A and D? I can't say that I've compared them side by side or in any way. Brian's probably the most qualified to.
What do you think, Brian?
I mean, I think I don't think the sound difference is the class. I think it's the distortion levels and and how much power it can put out. I think if you've got amplifiers, one's class D, one's class AB, if they can put out the same power levels with the same level of distortion and noise, they're going to sound the same. Like that Encore monolith, I couldn't tell you the difference between it at regular levels. I can't tell the difference in sound between it and the new monolith AB amplifier I have. They both sound very super neutral, super clean. The AB one has more power and it gets a little bit louder. Like I can push these Arndal speakers to reference clean with that, whereas I was probably about 3 to 5 dB lower with the Encore, and that's just the power,
just the rating. Yeah.
But sound wise, they sound the same. That's in my experience anyway.
Travis, question on Kaleidescape: disc to digital possible with your audio and physical media? Scan the barcode. So it's a yes and no. So disc to digital is possible, but it's not that easy. Kaleidescape does not have a scan the barcode. They don't have a feature like Voodoo does where you can D to D like in an app. It's convoluted. The Kaleidescape process is convoluted. So if you go on the channel and you look at the Kaleidescape playlist, I actually did a video all about the D to D process and like what it really means, because they actually kind of oversell it a little bit. I feel as a cornerstone of the system, and it's really not that easy, because you can't D to D in a Kaleidescape system without a Kaleidescape disc device. And of course, the Kaleidescape disc devices are all end-of-life discontinued hardware. So they're incredibly hard to find. They come up on the used market every once in a while. In a lot of cases, they're not reliable. Now they've aged out and they've been used enough that the slot loader drives, they don't always load properly. So your best case scenario is that you work with Kaleidescape themselves and or a dealer that you're working with or that they can recommend you to. And that dealer may have be holding on to hardware in order to help facilitate disc to digital process for clients. And then, you can feed your discs through it's also a little bit of there's some variation in the cost structure of it. So some studios make the conversion much cheaper than others. Disney, for example, is not a great discount relative to disc to digital. You're better off with Disney just waiting for the sales to hit, and then if you want the movies in the platform, buy them at $9.99. Some studios, they'll let you do D to D for like $4 or $5. So it just depends in that regard. A lot of folks, the one thing that I'll say about K, I don't want to belabor this too much because I'll tease something else coming up, but you know, you don't have to, buying a Kaleidescape doesn't mean that your physical media collection of hundreds or thousands of discs stops working. And so I think people get really stumble over that point, right? Those discs still play. Don't dump them. Don't dump your player. You built that collection for a reason, right? You like it. Hopefully you use it. You enjoy it. But if you really want to start migrating off of the physical media and into something like a Kaleidescape, you can do that with like your new purchases, right? You have keep your existing library, maybe migrate some of it in if you can catch a disc to digital conversion option, or maybe rebuy some of your favorites when they go on sale, right? Wait for the sales. But otherwise just, you know, make the cutover, buy in, but then stop buying discs and buy the new content on K. And you know, in a year or 2 years from now, you'll be nicely migrated in and probably find yourself using the Kaleidescape more and more and wanting to use the discs less and less. That's at least the story that I've seen a lot of people walk. But I'm going to have a lot more coming up on Kaleidescape. I'm planning to do both a collaborative live stream, hopefully here in the next few weeks. It might even be next week with a couple other folks talking about Kaleidescape versus like DIY ripping and what that really means. And then I want to do another one coming up here in December where I can share the Kaleidescape UI, kind of like what I did with the Apple TV a couple weeks ago, and really just spend a couple hours just super deep diving, demonstrating and clearing up, answering all kinds of questions about the platform. So that's on its way. Another question from Akash. Super fancy home theater setups you guys got. Wondering how long everything took to set up the first time, just to get the theater going. How much time do you think you have in your room, Kevin, to get to the point that you watched your first movie?
For mine, probably about a year, and it was like consistently trying to get people in and getting each person done and on to the next. So yeah, it took about a year, start to finish, and that was maybe a little bit less. We were watching TV or movies with the folding chairs and before the seats came or the carpet took a little while, but yeah, about a year. How about you guys?
Brian?
This setup in the basement, I think I really started to get serious this past spring. And I had the framing and the drywall contracted out, and it's still not done. I have a get together coming on the 10th, and I still got to put doorknobs on all the doors down here. So I'll have that done before everybody gets over.
You can come in, but you can't go out.
Yeah.
When I started this room 4-ish years ago, I want to say I started in the summer, so just call it roughly July-ish, July, August, because I remember a couple times the family wanted to go to the pool, go to the city pool, and I'm like, you guys go. I'm gonna go downstairs and tear some stuff up or put some stuff up. And I think we were watching our first movie in winter, sometime after the new year. So I probably had like 6 months from this room being the gym room with the mirrors on the walls and everything else that was in here to having, you know, speakers up and in, projector in, watching a movie. It took me not several, but at least a few months after that before I got the room treatments and in some of the more like finishing touches before I would call it more done. So I probably right along with Kevin, actually, maybe about on the order of a year. And then when I did the rebuild, I did that one much faster. So I started accumulating the new gear, the in walls, all that stuff in December. And I think I had it all in by February-ish, I want to say.
You're never totally done.
No, but yeah, never done for sure.
As soon as you're done, we'll be redoing it.
Yep.
Unless you stay off of AVS forum.
Yeah, stay home. Don't go to the
Yeah.
meetups.
More of your Kaleidescape videos will get us got down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I've been watching.
watching
I've been watching your Kscape stuff.
videos.
Yeah, K's
Might want one.
K's good. It's real nice. I've definitely had my fits of like debate about it because of the cost and long-term prospects for media and where it's going to come from. And then I started ripping discs a little bit more, kind of in service of the channel, because I wanted to make a series on it, on MKBs and servers, and almost for as much of a purpose of trying to talk people out of doing that as much as instructing people on how to do it, because I truly believe that most people don't understand it. There's ways to make mistakes, and I think a lot of people make mistakes with those ripping processes and don't realize it or whatever. And I started getting swept up in it actually a little bit more this year, because I don't know, I've got like this collector mentality, and I've been in and out of collecting a lot of things over my lifetime, and realizing like, okay, what do I really need these things for? What am I doing? And so I'll build up a collection of something, and then I'll dump out on it. My wife will roll her eyes at me again. And so, ripping a movie and having it in my collection and naming it and configuring it and doing infuse, but it's just like still coming around again, full circle on it, that like, this is a waste of my time. Like I have a Kaleidescape, I already have the Kaleidescape, and why not just buy the movie simply, elegantly, easily, early, watch it in very definitively the best fidelity that you can get in the home, and be done. Like we did with Top Gun. Easy, simple. So yeah, so I'm kind of flipping back the other way. I'm gonna break myself back out of continuing to worry about physical and double down on case. So I just ripped through this week and bought a couple $100 worth of 4K upgrades that I had in my account. Probably like, I don't even know, 20 or 25 movies, something more than that even, that were HD movies that were updated to 4K, swept those. And then I'm looking at this. I haven't done it yet, but I'm looking at this Thanksgiving sale. I got the cart sitting here and I haven't
Cool.
I haven't hit buy yet.
You can basically have like the HD version, then it'll go up to 4K and like with the K is what you're saying. Because like you used to have the DVDs, and then you get the Blu-rays, and then you get the 4Ks. So
yeah, K has an upgrade path. So if you own a movie in HD and it gets upgraded to 4K, depending on the studio, they'll make you a digital offer, and that offer can be as cheap as $4.92. It's a really oddball number. I don't know why it's $4.92, but like so some studios do that, and then some movies though it's like $20. It's almost like buying the movie again, and so it's really inconsistent. There's some really screwy studio pricing practices in the K store that like a lot of us have been kind of haranguing them on for a while, but I don't think, they only have so much control. They want to carry the content, and they don't set the pricing, the studios do. But yeah, so I benefited from that a lot, because I got into Kaleidescape before Ultraviolet died, and back then, some years ago, K was connected to UV, so you could buy something on Vudu or vice versa, right? And the movie rights would port. So I don't even know how many umpteen hundred movies in my Ultraviolet account, and a lot of it, for the studios that supported UV, dumped into my account when I bought my first Kaleidescape. And it wasn't too long after that UV went belly up. And then since then, there's been no connection, because Kaleidescape has never seen fit to get into movies anywhere. So because of that, I have a ton of HD digital movie rights, because 5 years ago ish, most everything was still HD, or 4K was still new. So I had all these Ultraviolet HD rights poured in, and so I get I get the offers. It's nice. It's a nice aspect of the platform for sure. Now though, if anybody buying in now, I would not recommend that you buy any HD content with them, because you're going to pay for the HD content, and then you're going to pay again to upgrade for the 4K. So by and large, like I almost never buy HD content if I don't already own it, I wouldn't buy it in the K store. I would just wait until it's upgraded to 4K. So I kind of just got lucky with my timing. So a couple comments here. Okay, pretty good Black Friday sale. Yep, I've got it. I've got the cart. I just got to hit buy. I think it's like $350. Disney and MGM can be pretty bad price wise. Actually, it's Paramount and it's Warner that are the problems. When like Matrix and the Batman hit at $39.99, it's like come on, guys. It's like Jesus. Now they're in the sale for $15. So patience is a virtue, I guess. But yeah, they're the ones that hit up there. Those two studios, they need to get taken out to the woodshed and raked over the coals a little bit. Chad Man says, my wife rolled her eyes at me with collecting different things. Yeah. I when I was a kid, I was all in the comic books, and I've sold those and toy collections, whatever else along the way. You guys got any side hobbies, collections?
Not really. My wife has said that she thinks I like buying and selling speakers more than I like listening.
Yeah, it's gear. It's home theater gear. That's what we're collecting now.
Yeah. But no, I don't really have anything that I collect other than movies. What about you, Kevin?
No, I don't think so. I was going to comment back. My wife was just making sure those Outlaw amps weren't sub amps. She's like, I think you have enough subs. But she was like, all right, speaker amps, those are okay. But yeah, no, I think, this is mainly my expensive hobby.
It's enough.
Yeah, right. It fits the bill. All right. I think we're coming up on time. Let's make a last call. Last call for questions, comments. Anything else? So my plan is to keep up the Wednesday lives. I think this time works good. Upgrade some general content, continuing on Mondays and Fridays, and then do the lives on Wednesdays and rolling through. I think in the weeks ahead with a bunch of topics in mind and other guests. Probably may see these guys again. Do some more with Brian. Do some more with Dan coming up. Some other channels and some other creators and friends that I've made in this area. So pretty cool. And I do want to do that K-scape deep dive coming up as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. It's fun. Anytime.
Yeah, I should have reached out to you ahead, but definitely.
It's fine. Just chilling out at home. Everybody's on vacation.
Yep. Holiday tomorrow. All right, last call. Haven't seen any comments pop up.
Might actually watch a movie in the theater tonight. So
yeah, I started Bullet Train. I might finish Bullet Train tonight. That's really good if you haven't seen that. I like it so far.
No, I haven't seen that one yet. Is it on Netflix? Is that the Netflix one?
I don't think it's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's Brad Pitt and a bunch of people, but pretty good.
Cool.
I've been burning my evenings in Marvel Snap lately.
Yeah. Marvel.
Yeah, you're not.
I haven't seen the newest Doctor Strange yet.
Yeah, I'm so behind on movies. It's ridiculous. But Snap is this little mobile. It's a mobile card game that came out. About a month ago. Yeah, Android, iOS, and stuff. But it's really cool. The best review that I've seen on it equated it to basically like playing 5-dimensional chess, which is pretty much right. So you build a deck of cards and you play cards to these locations. You're playing against an opponent, and it's real quick, real easy. But there's so many different card interactions and location interactions. It's fun. I haven't done a whole lot of video gaming this year, just because, like, I don't know, sitting down to play big AAA games, just this phase of my life, it doesn't really gaming just doesn't really compute. But I'm having a lot of fun with this. My son's all into it as well, so we're digging. Sit there talking at dinner time about card strategy while my wife and my daughter just ignore us. So
it's like a Marvel card deck, though. It's not a typical card deck.
No, there's like each card is a character, right? So there's like hundreds of cards that are in the game, and by playing, you like level up through these collection levels, and then you unlock these caches to get more cards in your pool. And then you build a deck of like 12 cards, and every card has like a power rating or a cost and a power rating. And then most cards have like an ability or something that happens with them. And it's all like thematic to the characters. So like you play a Mr. Fantastic card, and then his like, you know, his stretchy arms go out and they like add power to these other locations on the board. And you play and your opponent, you both play cards each round. There's 6 rounds, and you get like a certain amount of power to play your cards each round, and whoever has the most power at the end of the game wins. But yeah, I'm really digging it. The other thing that we've been into a lot here actually has been a physical card game called Marvel Champions, where you play a hero, you build physical decks, and you play like a villain scenario and stuff. So yeah, my son has quickly turned into like, for whatever reason, like he took to the card game. He and I together took to this card game, and then now to the Snap version of it, playing both together. So it's been a lot of fun.
Cool.
All right, so we'll call it happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Thanks so much for watching, for joining us. Hit those likes on the way out. Come on back next Wednesday. Look for more videos. I've got the video coming Friday about the Kaleidescape Black Friday sale, kind of breaking down my take on sales and bundles and the way pricing and stuff has gone in the Kaleidescape system. I've got more of my buzzing turmoil coming. I got one video made next week, and I've got some more things to try coming up. And
it's the buzzing saga.
Yeah, the saga.
Saga continues.
And I've been demoing GameFly as well. I wanted to give GameFly rental a shot, so I did a trial for the last few weeks, comparing that to 3D Blu-ray rental. So
okay, I started 3D Blu-ray rental recently, so you have to let me know. I used to use GameFly way back in the Xbox 360 days. So
yeah, there's some definite differences between the two.
Okay.
Between the two, but
cool.
You got anything coming to your channel soon, Brian?
I've got, I've always had like 5 things up in the air, and I just got to find the time to shoot the video on one things. I want to do one on this little puck streamer called a Ween Mini. It's like under $100 on Amazon. It basically replaces like a Blue Sound Node.
Nice.
It's got a really nice interface on it. So that's probably going to be the next thing I do a video on.
Nice. And then you just recently uploaded some stuff on your 1723. So
yeah,
anybody looking for information on the Arndals, check out Brian's recent video on there. Kevin, any parting thoughts, sage advice from your room experience?
No, thankful for all the experiences in the home theater, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, cool. I was there. I was at Kevin's.
Too much. Thanks for having me on.
Yep. We'll be seeing you guys shortly. I don't think I'll be there in a couple weeks, Brian, but we'll see how the day shakes out. Okay, if anything falls off our calendar, I'll see if I'll rip by. But otherwise, I'm sure we'll be seeing each other soon.
You're not far, man. Just let me know.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Good night, guys. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.